from a conscious standpoint, we recognize that it's a simulation. Yeah. We don't know exactly who we are outside of the simulation. We know that there is an outside of the simulation because people die. And people are born. So there's obviously an external, energetic world outside of here. Now, the simulation operates in a very funny way. I remember lockdown and stuff, right? There was all the stories about Will Smith and stuff like that. And somehow people thought it was true. This is the people that believe the screen, the simulation, right? But it hit me today, like, all those news stories, even the ones that are quote unquote exposing the system, are from the system. There's literally nothing that doesn't come from the machine. You know, oh, this person is saying, this person's revealing Hollywood secrets. This person is, like, all the stuff they're saying is stuff that we knew already. Those of us are conscious anyway. We knew that the whole thing was a sham. We knew it was a scam. We knew that it was satanic, you know, the projections anyway. And it was low vibrational, and it only sought to misdirect, miseducate, misinform people. They're gatekeepers of even thought, you know. So all of it is fake. Then it hit me, what if it goes even one step deeper? Like, all these things, places where they are seen and everything, it's all part of the script, because when you're conscious, no, you don't care. Like, you literally do not care. There's no, you don't have it. It doesn't even make sense for you to care about a projection on a screen because you're conscious. So all these things that you do is like, oh, this person was seen at this place, or this person went to this place and they had a secret meeting here and somehow the paparazzi was there. It's all a lie. Oh yeah, paparazzi get money if they take a picture and shit like this. Bro, it's just narratives, it's just stories. Everything you see, they want you to see. You know, everything. Oh, this person's exposing Hollywood. This person, you know, oh, they're doing this. Oh, you know, like, even if I was to humor you and say, okay, assuming that's true, what's anyone going to do about any of that? What's anyone really going to do about any of it? What's anyone going to change about any of it? No one's going to do nothing. So it's bullshit. Now let's go even one step deeper, yeah? Like, you know, I've got this video on my channel where I say that slavery didn't happen. I think that it's a story. Again, it's to misdirect people. I don't understand how people from like all of history can't even be all of history can't even be assumed as real. Like, all of it has to be approached from a perspective of, like, all of it has to be approached from a perspective of it could be fake. You know, and if you're looking at stuff across all those dimensions and saying that it could possibly be fake, then the whole story about slavery could be fake. The story about the African Exodus could be fake. The pharaonic connection between Egypt and Africa could be fake, although there's Sudan, which is kind of a different story. So that kind of makes it a little bit more. And it's like, all these stories we believe, oh, the Americans, the Europeans that went to settle America killed all the Red Indians and shit like this. What if there were no Red Indians? What if the people we have on the what do you call it? What do you call reservations, or what? I don't know the word they use for those places where the First Nations live. Like, what if those people are also an indigenous group of the United States, but just a very small in number? What if they're like, you know, like the Inuits and Eskimo people, they're like also like an indigenous type that live in the place we call North America today, and they've created this narrative around them also, where they and they fed them all these stories, oh, you're this, you're that. Because again, identities is how they control us, yeah? What if, like, the African Americans that live in America are not African at all? What if they're actually indigenous to America? What if? What if the world as we see it, if we strip away all the identities and shit like that, right? You see it for what it is. Like, people say shit like, oh, there were Africans in Europe back in the day, and the Moors and they're Africans in Europe today. They're doing very big things, conquering and doing amazing things, just like the history says. Do you understand? So it's narratives. Because it always portrays one person one way, portrays another person one way, which is an identity. Because, like, what is racism even? Like, it's such a dummy idea. Like, I know that I look a certain way, right? But you look a certain way. He looks a certain way. We all look different. But then, again, we've been fed a narrative that this group doesn't like this group. So it breeds kind of like an emotional thing where everybody's subconscious, right? And these subconscious things that exist, right? It keeps you at a specific vibration, and you're also leaking energy. Because you could be potentially, like, carrying negative energy and expecting certain kind of reactions or responses. And that expectation itself is a manifestation. It creates that interaction because you are consciousness. So if we transpose what I just said onto the screen of space, there are people that just live here, yeah? So we're in the Matrix world now, the place where Neo sees that lady with the great red dress. So we're all just walking through. But then somehow I've been told, or I've seen on the movie, heard on the news, blah, 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 blah. Since I can only speak for my lifetime. If you're consciousness, that's what you have to recognize. You can only speak from your perspective. Because that's all you know. So from my perspective, I've been fed all this information, right? About these people and that people. And those people, through the same indoctrination, have started to believe it. So then they also kind of like have this weird kind of like thing towards me. And I have this thing towards them. And now I'm in the reality, the simulation, carrying this weird energy, this tense energy, looking out for certain situations. But at the same time, I'm just creating them anyway. Do you understand? It's all tactics from the Ministry of Information, bro. Like, I don't understand how people could, like, people might hear this and think I'm crazy, right? Because they believe that, yes, Americans used to live in Europe and they went to America and they went to colonize America and they killed the Red Indians. It was unfortunate, but yeah, whatever. Life shit happens. Life goes on. They come and they go and capture Africans and come and enslave them. Yeah, it wasn't fair, wasn't right, but shit, life goes on. Yeah, but we're still enjoying our wealth and we're in this position in the reality, and the dark-skinned people and the Red Indians, whatever, they're in this position. It's an identity, it's a story. And then you might say, because even the institutional racism, right, which may or may not exist, it doesn't actually matter, because if you believe it exists, you will see it. If you don't believe it doesn't exist, you won't see it. At the highest tables in this life, yeah, and at the highest table, you see all types of people there. At the highest tables, I'm telling you, they're at the highest levels. Those people, they are way beyond that. They don't even see in terms of color. It's stupid. To them, it's actually insignificant because it is insignificant. They've taught us tribalism. Yes, but I hear what you're saying. Oh, yeah, well, there was a war. And historically, there was a war and this happened and that happened. But none of us were there, bro. It's just like the Big Bang. We weren't there. We were just told that's what happened. So now, if we go to the philosophical, which is, using the allegory of the cave and the almost kind of like undeniable, undisputable fact that you can only verify your existence and your experience. You can't verify anybody else's, because sense perception can actually not be what you think it is. Just because you see something doesn't mean it's actually there. Because our eyes fail us, our memories fail us, all of those things. So it's like this reality and this suit kind of give it away that, it's only your person. You only use it. It creates this very unique experience for you. It's like almost like the suit is tailored to create your experience. Because it's like if you went into another person's body and you took over another person's body and life, you probably wouldn't have the same experience. The way they see the color yellow, the way sunshine feels on their skin, the way the ocean feels on their body, the way their definition of hot, their definition of cold, their definition of wet, their definition of uncomfortable, it all differs. And if they try to explain to you, they'll use words which actually just mean nothing, because it's just trying to describe something they can't describe. They're just trying, So each experience is unique, but you can only verify yours, right? Then that means that everything you've been told before that point is potentially a lie, potentially inaccurate. Everything, including your own life story, like who your parents are and everything. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. If we go to this, if we're going to talk at that level of consciousness. Because if you're to look on a conscious level, right? When Neo's in the Matrix, that's his life story on the outside. Like, there's no correlation. Like, he's a glitch in a system. He's an anomaly in an equation, which means that his life story and all of that is just a story. Let me say that again. He is a glitch in the matrix, right? Which means he's consciousness, aware of himself, yeah? Or he has a propensity or tendency to whatever. The undisputable fact or the undeniable fact is, whether he lived in his grandmother's basement, he worked at blah, blah, blah company, and this happened and this happened, it seems like life pushed him to this very specific point. But when we go to, when he's talking to the architect of the Matrix, the guy that built the simulation, who had all the screens of his whole life and all the possible timelines he's ever lived on, blah, 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 that explains a fundamental point. That the stories are just that, they're just stories. Because his path as energy or as consciousness is already there, do you know what I mean? So you find yourself in this reality. You wake up, yeah, from when you become self-aware, and then when you actually start to become conscious, right? Those two kind of births, if you like. You look back and you recognize, okay, so if the whole story could be false and blah, 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 then there are no identities. Because if I claim to be African and claim that identity, it comes with its own baggage. Every identity you claim comes with its own baggage. Or so that, therefore that means this, or therefore that means that, but perhaps doesn't apply to me. Do you see how it goes? So it's not, those things don't define you. Those things are trying to define you. So it's like the simulation wants you to pick these boxes. Oh, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, which would then somehow give a vague idea of who you are and the things you battle for. But again, let's going back to the original point. With that being said, with everything I've said being said, you consider the fact that the news, the media, what goes viral, what is spoken about, what's printed in the news media, what's advocated by science, what's not advocated by science, all of those things are stories. Do you get it? And it gets to a point where it's like, oh, so then what is real? You are. And it's figuring out life. Not figuring out, you don't have to figure out shit actually. It's just living life according to you. Like as consciousness, as a conscious being, just walking through this place. Just because it's a simulation doesn't mean that I can't look at the Eiffel Tower and think, oh, do you know what, it's actually a really cool thing they put up there. Or the construction of, you know, or the build or layout of a city, or, you know, all those things are like, you can appreciate them, you can appreciate good art, you can appreciate music, all these things, because all these things are created by the sim, and it gives it to you, all of it. I mean, you know, AI makes songs now, right? So they're telling you, again, like I said to you, every narrative they give you already exists. You understand? But they just wanting you to create, they just get you to create a different way. Excuse me. But if you look at it from even the AI making music and AI writing lyrics, or they have songwriters and all this other stuff, again, it's the same thing. They're pushing, they get to them push narrative, because if you have a team of employed songwriters, you can give them the brief as to, right, this is what the kind of content I need you to produce, blah, 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 and they'll just produce that content. So that means if that song touches you, that there's nothing organic about it. It's a story. It was designed to try and get you built that way. That's why you have all these genres of music, and you know, these sports, and like, do you know how you can create like an endless stream of not an endless stream, but yeah, literally we can claim an endless, like we can create endless sports. But why do we just have these like structured ones, like football, play baseball, We can create all types of sports and people go and watch it if it's real. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is nothing here is real, man. Nothing is real. It's a sim. It's a big fucking sim. And I know it gets like fucking scary once you kind of like consider the fact that, okay, it's a sim. And everything could be potentially fake. You could even probably even be dead, like in the traditional sense from the old world. If you're a old world genuine human being, you could probably already be dead. And your NDE, quote unquote, has slipped you into this, or they put us into this other sim. You know, I don't take up the table. It could even be that consciousness is that when you become conscious, maybe that's the moment consciousness actually bonds with you. Maybe the whole time it's kind of like also growing in a way, just like a child does, you know. You're making all these mistakes and blah blah, and then one day you just become a grown-up, or the kid becomes more responsible. Like a switch just goes off. They start to, okay, I know how to take care of myself now, I know how to speak now, I know how to, so I'm actually gonna, or they start to make their own decisions or carve their own path, right? So I think in the initial stages you're just asleep, but your consciousness is also not, it's just growing, it's just, or maybe just absorbing information, just whatever. And then when you get to a point, some event or whatever it is, and it's almost kind of pre-written, and it's like that's when it kind of actually kicks in. And I know it sounds wacky and cuckoo, right? But who can say definitively that when they were actually asleep, that they were a conscious being? You can't say it. It's two sides of a coin. When you become conscious, you're like fully aware. You're like, oh shit, I was so unconscious then. But when you're unconscious, did you know that, oh my God, like I'm so asleep right now? You didn't. It's two sides of the coin. So I don't take it out the table. I think it's just something we say to ourselves to make us feel like, oh, maybe that's when it decides. It's like think of nature. You know, there's, you can't predict birth. You know, the child comes when the child comes, right? The event happens when it happens. So something will happen. Maybe it's all in our paths. Those of us that start to experience this level, that something will happen, and that will be the trigger point for consciousness to enter you, and then or wake up or get or reach maturity to a point where it can understand certain things or do certain things and decide to now go a certain way. Because without information that's been gathered beforehand, you wouldn't know how to go about the next stage, you know? You have to completely... So it's almost like a necessity. Because, again, we've been bombarded with duality, right? And like, oh, good and evil, up and down, you know, left and right. Like, we've been hit with that so hard. But what if all of it is just a learning process? You know, a friend of mine said something to me that really, really, like, resonated with me. Said something like, people are so quick to judge people, but they fail to recognize that whatever it is we're doing, it's our very first time. So we can't get everything right. And I was like, wow, that's actually deeply fucking profound, because you wouldn't jump on your kid when you're learning to walk, right? If they fall, you wouldn't jump and be like, oh, you're so shit. Fucking, you can't do that. You wouldn't, it's abnormal. You know, but we've conditioned ourselves as a group, or we've been fed the programming so much that we've got to a point where if somebody steps out of line, everyone's like, ah! But whose line is it anyway? Like, you know, and these sorts of things have been passed on through reality. They're reminders, you know. But again, they all get you to engage with the screen, like fight the power, blah, blah, blah. But you're still engaging with the screen. You have to just go even deeper and recognize that, okay, it's just a screen. It's just an illusion. It's just programming. You know, like, don't you find it crazy that they control the algorithm, right, of the internet? Where you see or feed everything, right? They shadow ban people. I've been shadow banned before. I know what I'm talking about. And it's like, they do all that shit, right? But then people still believe that the internet is like completely neutral and completely legit. Like, the stuff that comes from pages, you know, you happen to stumble on it, or you just happen to find it, or it was on your feed, or whatever it is. It was put there. That's how deep the programming goes. It was put there. Nothing even tastes the same from the memories. But we can't quite put our finger on it. Because when the simulation has changed somehow, since, I don't know, I think people woke up, or maybe it's a simulation designed to accommodate. I don't know, fucking, that's not really important, really, when you think about the ins and outs of how the sim works. It's not really important, I don't think, because you never understand it. It's like Mario trying to figure out, like, whether he's on a Nintendo 64 or whether he's on a PlayStation. Like, it doesn't fucking matter, Mario. just meal prepped and I'm just dishing the meals. I'm actually kind of good at making food now. I never used to be able to cook shit, bro. But since my eyes opened, I can cook like a motherfucker. I'm not even shitting you. Like, I just made Jamaican food and it tastes. I'll pay for this. Like, and I'm very picky when it comes to Jamaican food. But anyway, back to the story. It's all illusion. Nobody's exposing anybody. Nobody's exposing anybody. It's kind of like almost like a Mandela effect, almost. Just to see how many people. It's just to keep them entertained and see how many people actually react or respond. And for the most part, people will respond online, right? So if the responses are, again, it's so easy. Human beings are actually so easy. Most people would text people, send voice notes, whatever, because that's the only way we communicate nowadays, right? This dimension. So the AI, you've seen how efficient ChatGPT is. The AI can track conversations and figure out, okay, 80% think it's bullshit. Some people don't care at all. 20% are talking about it actively. Okay, cool. Right. And they can shift it. They can shift the direction. And then, in the same time when the story, these things happen, then it's like suddenly they got like all these reactions. Oh, this person responds. Oh, this person's responded. Bro, why would you respond if you're conscious? Like, why would you respond? Like, imagine me, right, as a conscious being, and then somebody, like, says some shit. Okay, like, alright, cool. Because all this idea, you're taking food from, like, you're trying to tarnish my names, I've got to speak up and shit like that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, because some people, no matter what, are not going to believe you anyway, so they're programmed not to. Do you understand? Because they probably hold some sort of identity in them, which will never allow them to believe a certain position ever. So, what's the point in explaining yourself to anyone? It's literally child's play. It's ultra dumb. Ultra dumb. But most people live in a different dimension. I get it, man. You get it. Most people just, it's like they believe the screen. And at this point where I am, like I find it so incredible that people actually believe the screen. But what I fail to realize is that there was a time I also believed the screen, like faithfully, and I would have heard stuff I'm saying and thought, what a crazy person. So it's understandable. Yeah. That's all I gotta say to that, really.